Welcome to an RCF with attitude, because today we're headed straight back to the car pass, which sadly costs a little extra on top of the base game. Because today we're taking a look at the Lexus RCF Track Edition from 2020. This thing boasts 472 brake horsepower from stock, 395 foot-pounds of torque while weighing an astonishing 3,781 pounds. I've got to say though, it looks absolutely evil from the front and I love it, especially with the carbon bonnet as well. Going to the side, it looks pretty cool, a bit like the regular RCF with a little bit more, well, like I said, a little bit more attitude. And then to the back, we've got ourselves a little bit of a racing wing as well. Going to the inside now, we've got a little bit more sort of detail with a few red accents here and there. We've got plenty of dials and gauges and even a little start-stop button right there. But now let's go ahead and take a listen to this almighty, well, almighty being really. I've got to say, this thing sounds absolutely beautiful, but now let's go ahead and jump over to conversion, over to engine swaps and see what we've got. We've got 4 available, including the racing 3-litre inline-6 turbo. We have the 4.8-litre V10 straight out of the Lexus LFA. We also have ourselves the 6.5-litre V12, and alongside that we have a racing V12 as well. If you want, you can also go ahead and either twin turbo or supercharge the stock engine. Going over to aero and appearance, sadly there's not much for this thing. We have ourselves just Forza front aero, and going to the back, let's go ahead and see what we've got. We have the option for a Forza rear wing, or we can just take the rear wing off entirely, which makes it look a bit more like its original RCF counterpart. In the meantime, our mechanic Mac has been very busy throwing together an S1 road build for us. Let's go ahead and bring up the share code of that very quickly. There it is. Feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. We're going to go ahead, download and install and see what we got to work with. So with these upgrades, we are now just shy of 2,920 pounds in weight with over 800 brake horsepower all the way up at the top of S1. So with those upgrades installed, here we are now over at the paint shops. Let's go ahead and take a look at advanced, where sadly we don't have any options there. Going over to manufacturer colors though, we do have the option for a nice white paint job, or we could go with a little bit of a little bit of silver too. We're not going to talk about how many attempts that took me. Now, unlike previous cars in this series where I've got to see quite a fair few of them, unfortunately I've not had a chance to see the RCF Track Edition in person. However, I have seen an RCF in person quite a few times, and I've got to say they do look good, alongside their modern day counterpart being the LC500. But one question remains, this car looks good, but does it race as good as it looks? Well, I guess we're about to find out. And away we go. We've got to try and see if we can finish top 1 out of, all these cars here. So we've got to try and pass at least 10, make that 11 other cars to try and see if we can get this thing with all of its 800 brake horsepower to victory. So let's go ahead and see how does it handle the first turn. Honestly, not too bad. I was assuming it was going to be a little drifty, but it wasn't, so that kind of caught me a bit off guard, really. Right, 5th and 4th have had a little bit of a, a bit of a collision in the walls. Let's try and see if we can take some advantage of that. We're up into 5th. Can we get past a little urban rebel up here? I'm going to hope we can, and we have. There we go, that's 4th place for us. And speaking of numbers, I tried to count how many of these were made. Sadly, I can't find an exact figure, but apparently there's only 9 of them on the UK roads. Right, 2nd, 1st up here. That's 2nd place. Can we get 1st? No, but we can't bounce off a wall. That's going to get very expensive. What is also expensive is just how much one of these can be, because in the UK, if you're looking for, buying one of these, you can expect to pay anywhere between 63 to 85,000 pounds sterling. That's this in US dollar, by the way. Well, at the time of recording, Auto Trader, one of the UK's largest used car sites, has the most expensive one for sale at £65,000. Right, 95% through the race, so 1 more turn to go. The finish line is right there. 2nd place is quite close, but across we go, claiming a 1st place for the RCF Track Edition and a time of 1 minute 55. So I've got to say, that was quite the race indeed, but now we go from racing cars to voting for them, because this week's backstage vote has the number 92 Porsche RSR and the Radical RXC versus the number 7 Porsche 935 and the KTM Expo GT4. Now, I've been told that the RXC can be found in a wheel spin, so for that reason, we're going to go with the KTM and the other Porsche. Do you agree with my choice? Let me know which one you pick. And now we go from voting for cars straight back to racing them, or in this case, drag racing them, because Mac has made a drag racing build for us. Let's go ahead, bring up the share code. There it is. Feel free to grab that for yourself. We're going to go ahead, download and install it, and then we're going to go and try and see if we can get good speed on the drag strip, I guess. So with these upgrades, we're now a little bit heavier at 2,984 pounds in weight, but we do have a lot more power at nearly 1,200. Right, here we are now over the back of the Festour. So let's go ahead and see. Do we get a wheelie check out of the drag built RCF? We definitely do. Okay, hi. Bet you didn't think you'd see one of these doing that today, did you? Right, here we are now over the edge of the drag strip. I have been given 2 words of advice, and they are good luck. So let's go ahead, put this thing onto launch control, and away we go. There's a professional drag racing car next to us, who I'm pretty sure Oh, I thought they were about to go and fly past us, but okay, I guess they're letting us just do our own thing. Cool, nearly 1,200 brake horsepower. What do we get through the camera? 194.94, and off the end of the drag strip at 221. As per tradition, it didn't like braking much. However, now is our turn to go ahead and have a little bit of fun with this thing, so we're going to jump straight to conversion. We're going to go ahead and do the dreaded all-wheel drive swap, and I'm also probably about to make a lot of people very angry because we're going to chuck in the 6.5 litre V12. And because we can, we're going twin turbos. Why? Well, we're making this thing a top speed build, so we're going to need all the power that we can possibly get. And of course, you know we've got to go with some anti-lag. And while we're at it, let's make this thing a lot lighter too. You know, that looks about right to me. And so starts the fun part, trying to tune 1,500 brake horsepower into a 7-speed gearbox. In the meantime, here's this week's Forzathon shop. We've got ourselves a 2015 BMW X6M, we've got ourselves a Horizon backstage pass, the German race gloves, the Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6, and the clock tower car horn, which sounds a bit like this. Very interesting indeed. Kind of reminds me a bit of Big Ben. Anyway, we also have ourselves the Horizon Super Wheel Spin alongside the regular Horizon Wheel Spin, and now out on the motorway. However, now it's time for our usual little weekly game of how close can we get to the motorway grey. I've located a random point on the map. Let's see, are we close today? The answer is definitely not. You know, I think we get further and further away each week. In the meantime though, here we are now over the edge of the motorway. Let's get ourselves onto launch control, and away we go. 1,515 brake horsepower, a very heavy Lexus. Let's see what we can get out of this thing. At the very least, I'm hoping for around 250. And out the speed zone we go at 266.56, and we are still accelerating. We're a little slower because I may or may not have just, well, taken out every barrier in sight, but we've got the downhill and speed camera to go, so let's get going and see what we can get. Speaking of the camera, there it is, 272.70, going downhill now, 274, 275 out of this thing, which is absolutely nothing short of just insane. We've got our usual little motorway sign there. On the brakes we go. Do we get a good braking distance on this thing? Well, for 275, I don't think that's half bad. Now, so far this car's done well in most of the departments we've tested it on, but we've got one thing left to go. Yep, you guessed it, we're about to throw this thing sideways. So, into the drift zone we go with this thing. Do we get a good score? I really hope so, considering we've got a lot of power, so it should make it a little easier for us. And on run number 1, we got 42,419 points and 1 dent. And that dent's going to be a bit expensive to repair. Whoops. Right, 42.4k is the score to beat. Let's go ahead and chuck this thing in for round number 2, and this time now going back the other way. Can we beat 42.4k? I don't think so. Sadly, we don't. 38,870 points is how far we got. Well, 38,887. There we go. Got there in the end. In the meantime, though, that is this video on the Lexus RCF Track Edition. I've got to say, it's not too bad of a car. I can't lie. This thing is actually pretty fun. It does, of course, cost a little extra because this thing is, like I mentioned at the start of the video, on the Horizon Car Pass, but I'd say it's worth it. And with Horizon 6 just around the corner, do we reckon we'll see this car in there? Let me know. In the meantime, though, thank you very much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Tech out. See ya. Right, back to the garage we go.